Trenton Bourguet saw a lot during his time in Tempe. The program's promising rise halted by a COVID year and an NCAA scandal, a coaching change, and finally and deservedly, a title winning playoff run. Through it all, he displayed dedication, loyalty, heart, leadership, and a deft passing touch that made him, a Marana native and a childhood Wildcat fan, into one of the most popular Sun Devils in recent memory. And with the close of his playing days, he now embarks upon a very promising coaching career. On this episode, we discuss the ups and downs during his 6 years as a Sun Devil, what made this 2024 team so special, his favorite moments, a breakdown of his Trenton Bourguet offensive scheme, and so much more. So let's get to it. Here's my conversation with Trenton Bourguet. All right, Trenton, so your coaching aspirations are obviously pretty well known at this point, but of course, with the college career behind you, is it time to officially make that transition? You hanging up the cleats, or are you still going to be throwing some passes here in the future?
Yeah. No, the plan is to hang up the cleats. Looking forward to getting in the coaching world, and I'm looking forward to doing that.
So, of course, you kind of got a little taste of that early on, of course, with the Tucson turf, but also during the ASU practices, during some of those fun periods where you got to call some plays for your teammates in there. How fun was that experience, and what were some of the things that you learned to call and not call, perhaps, given some of the strengths or weaknesses of your teammates?
Yeah, I've been very fortunate to not only be playing the game of football my whole life, but really coaching, calling my own plays since I was, 6, 7 years old, and, coaching in the off season with Tucson turf, coaching, my younger brothers and cousins and my sister's teams. And then, obviously the last couple of years, I've even been doing it since my freshman year. We saw those scrimmages under Coach Likens and Herm Edwards, and, fast forward 6 years, and I've been doing the same thing under Coach Dillingham and Coach Arroyo. So, a lot of fun, love to call the plays and having, the guys excited, like, all right, TB's calling plays, TB's calling plays. So, I think the biggest thing, I learned is just, try to keep it simple. Obviously it can be very easy to just, want to take shots and throw it deep all the time. But sometimes, Coach Dillingham says you can run the ball almost every single play, and, it'll be more efficient than if you threw the ball. So, but just, testing out, new things, and, trying some trick plays, doing some, Tucson turf magic back there with my brother Coben, and, doing double passes that, we did that, I think. And I told everyone, I was like, we're going to score on one play. And I threw it to Coben, a lateral pass, and he threw like an 80-yard bomb to Jamal Young, and he caught it and scored, which was a lot of fun. Everybody rushed the field. And as soon as I called the play, I threw it to Coben. My hands were up like a touchdown. I already knew it was coming. So it's a lot of fun memories for sure.
So, of course, your trajectory in the coaching field is obviously going to be skyrocketing, future star in the profession, no doubt. So, when you look at this, maybe a Trenton Bourguet offensive scheme when you're in OC one day, what are some of the key characteristics? Let's break down the offense.
Yeah, I definitely, I've been blessed to be coached by so many great coaches, in my time here at Arizona State, and also, back in high school, and really pretty much my whole life. There's definitely bits and pieces that I would take, of different schemes. But, for me, we're going to, try to, spread the ball around. We want to throw it, we want to run it, and I think, pretty much I'd take a little bits and pieces of, all the offenses I've been in. But, definitely want to, we're going to put up a lot of points, hopefully, and, surround myself, with great coaches and great people, and, try to build on the success that I've learned my whole life.
So, as a fullback fan myself, is there a role for a fullback in the Trenton Bourguet offense?
Hey, there's a role for everybody. Maybe sometimes we're a fullback, sometimes we're not, but, definitely, try to be as diverse as we can, offensively. And, the more stuff you can put out on the field, that's tougher for defenses to game plan for. So we'll be doing a little bit of everything for sure.
So, of course, the game of football is ever changing, and obviously, trends come and go. What are some of the most exciting or interesting kind of recent trends in the sport, whether at the pro, college, or high school levels or whatever, that really kind of interest you?
Yeah, I think, each and every year, there's some new trend or some sort of formation or play concept that's definitely, taken off. For the Bills example, they're doing a lot of orbit motion, 4x1 stuff that's, definitely, causing a lot of stress on defenses. And, you see the Rams, they find different ways, to insert, Puka, in the run game, but also in the pass game, inserting, through the tight end or even the tackle. So there's just, little trends here and there that, you kind of pick up on. But those are just a couple that I've kind of seen this offseason, and, definitely, been taking a lot of notes and mental notes, and, just trying to find film of these teams that, find ways to get the ball to their playmakers. And, you don't got to make it super confusing. At the end of the day, football is football. Everybody runs the same thing. They just find a different way to get there.
So let's look back now at this magical 2024 season you're a part of, and starting off with the Peach Bowl. Was that one of the wildest games you were ever a part of? Just the ups, the downs, the drama, the stakes, everything kind of came together.
Yeah, I mean, I think, being on that national stage, playing against, a powerhouse in Texas like they are, I think that definitely, showed Arizona State, not only the players, but the fans and just everybody here that's, in the Valley and across the nation, repping that, maroon and gold that, we belong there. Obviously it didn't start out the way we wanted to, but, this team, this 2024 team, we went down swinging. And I think, that's just a statement of who this team was, from the very first time we got together back in last January to the team it was, this past January. So, we were going to give it everything we got. And it definitely, it stings, but it was definitely a fun season to look back on to see what we accomplished.
So in that locker room, after things that aren't necessarily going the Sun Devils' way, in the locker room there at halftime at the Peach Bowl, what were you and the other team leaders doing that in the message you guys were trying to convey that ultimately led to such a strong second half and a remarkable comeback?
Yeah, my biggest thing, I'm usually, try not to say too much or anything, but for me, it was, it was possibly, my last game, being, representing, the Sun Devils, and I was going to try to do everything I can to, keep the energy on the sideline. So usually I stay far away from everybody. I'm really locked into the game and seeing it from a coach's view. I was grabbing the towels, I was trying to get the crowd going. But yeah, going into halftime, I think we were down 17-3, and I made sure our guys know, they had 3 plays on us. Really, they started off the game with, the long, passing catch that went up for about 60, and then they scored the very next play, and then they had the punt return. But other than those 3 plays, I think, defensively we had only given up, 50 to 60 yards, and offensively we were continuing to, drive the ball down in the red zone. We just kind of missed a few plays here and there. So definitely the scoreboard, looked a lot worse than it really was in reality. But at that time, we knew we were having Shamari come back on the defensive side and just telling the offensive guys, you guys, one play at a time. You never know what when one's going to hit, for a deep ball or an explosive. And I think the team, never bended, never folded. We just knew to keep throwing punches, and obviously, we fought our way back into the game.
When you look back now that there's been a little bit of time since the season came to a close, what really kind of made this team so special, so resilient, and have that ability to counterpunch and overcome the adversity, and obviously that led to such a magical year and the success that you guys were able to put together.
Yeah, I think it starts with the guy that runs it all. Coach Dillingham. He's done a great job of bringing in the right staff members and people on the team that are hungry. A lot of the guys some guys transferred in, some guys weren't really heavily recruited out of high school, but when you have a team full of guys that are competitive in everything they do, whether it's basketball, in the team meeting room, whether it's ping pong, whether it's the NCAA 25, guys are always competing in everything they can. And once you build that, competition, throughout the guys, starting in the summer and in the winter with Coach Joe, and you finally put us on the field, as we're always one. But when, we put us against another team, across from us, I think you're going to see guys that are just excited to see somebody else, across from them, and you're not going against offense versus defense. But I think this team was just so close in so many different ways, doing stuff, outside the facility, whether it's offensive guys coming over to watch games at my house or the defensive guys, hanging out at Zay's place or going bowling and just doing things together as a team that, definitely, got us to bond really quickly in a short amount of time. And in this generation of college football, you're going to have a lot of different teammates each and every year. And I think, Coach Dillingham does a great job of bringing in the right people and knowing, he's going to tell them what's going to happen when you get here. And I just think this group of guys were very close throughout the whole year.
The season, of course, had so many amazing, memorable moments, but I think right up there near the top is your completion to your brother Coben, and especially against U of A, and kind of a full circle moment. What was that play like for you guys, just to get out there finally and make that on field connection?
Yeah, it was super exciting. Get out there and for it to be in Tucson, like a lot of people know, that's where I'm from. That's where Coben and I are, born and raised, and grew up going to a lot of games there, and usually booing for the away team. And now that was us. We're running out of the tunnel where we used to boo guys coming out. So just a full circle moment. Had a lot of family and friends there, and Coach Arroyo called the play in. And, I hear it in my headset. I'm like, all right, here we go, like pitch and catch. And I look over to my receiver, and I'm like, oh, it's Coben. I don't really get nervous at all. Ever. And I wouldn't really say I got nervous, but definitely my heart was definitely beating. I was just like, all right, just throw pitch and catch. We've done this a number of times, our whole lives, but for him to get that catch, that was his first completion or his first catch in college football, and he got the first down. And then obviously, the next play throwing a touchdown pass to Derek. It was just a fun day, not only just for me and my brother, but Arizona State community and just all the people that were down there repping the right colors in Tucson.
Were you or Coben able to keep that ball? It's kind of a keepsake of that historic moment.
Yeah, I ended up finding a way to get that ball, and gifted it to my mom and dad for Christmas, and just
Oh,
Kobe didn't even know I got the ball back, but yeah, I ended up finding that game ball and gifted it to my parents. Which without them, it wouldn't have been possible. But just like I said, none of this would have been possible. Without God, and everything is done. Not only for me, but for my family and everybody on the team. So it was definitely a season to remember.
And of course, just that day, what was it like just to kind of cap the on-field portion of your career there? You just with that huge win, obviously, of course, the touchdown pass you mentioned to Derek on the next play, and just putting that exclamation mark, bringing the cup back home to Tempe where it belongs.
Yeah, I mean, it was super special. Obviously, not being the starter or the backup or being the third string. Obviously, nothing really changed for me. How I prepared each and every day. Trying to be the best teammate I can be. And at the end of the day, I just want to see Arizona State football, succeed. So anything I can do, whether it was helping Sam or Jeff out, or giving tips here and there to the younger guys about transitioning to college football, I was trying to do that. And I definitely appreciated Coach Dillingham and Coach Arroyo to put me in certain situations. At the end of the game, whether it was just taking a knee, but that means a lot to me. Take a knee, down in Tucson, and then obviously, a couple weeks later in the Big 12 championship, in Texas, that was a super cool to just to stamp it like that and to go out on top.
So you've seen a lot during your time in Tempe, obviously, and some ups, some downs, some struggles. What's been the most rewarding part for you to be part of a team, this group of guys this year, to get Sun Devil football back on track? From what had been a couple of dark years.
Yeah, I think it's pretty touche, but just trusting the process. For me, like I said, my whole career here, just trusting God's plan. Obviously, the last couple of years hadn't gone the way we wanted to, and honestly, it could have gotten even worse. At least we were able, squeeze out, some wins the past couple of years, and definitely, try to do whatever we can to represent this community and this university the best we could with the position we were in. And I think this year was just awesome to see it kind of all come together, because my whole time here I just knew we were so close to making that next leap. And obviously this leap was something that not a lot of people probably even thought were possible, but I think with the people that are here now with under Coach Dillingham and Mr. Rossini and all the people that are tied into Arizona State University, it's definitely not just the beginning, but we're looking forward to build on it in the future.
And as as you guys are piling up those wins, just seeing the valley activated, as Kenny likes to say, the fans seeing you guys off, and the buses from the facility greeting you when you guys get back, and just obviously the buzz that you guys were able to create around town. How rewarding was that aspect to kind of get this large Sun Devil fan base, that had been burned over the last couple of years, to get reinvested and be proud of their Devils?
It's been awesome to see. That energy is contagious, whether you're out and about in Tempe or at other sporting events, and you see people rocking Arizona State gear and yelling forks up and taking pictures and this and that. And it's just really been a dream come true, because obviously you're always going to have support, but it definitely helps when you're winning and bringing a lot of attention back to Arizona State, which has kind of been a sleeping giant the last couple of years. But I mean, the weather we're in Arizona and Tempe in general, and the fans, and just, I mean, you can't beat it. We're just 5-10 minutes away from the airport in Sky Harbor, so you're going to have a lot of people coming in out of town, and just super cool to see the alumni speaking out and people just being bought back into this program, and it's super exciting.
Of course, the first year under Kenny, a lot of challenges, a lot of injuries, of course, that to this program, a lot of external things beyond the players' control that the team had to kind of persevere through. What do you feel were, as one of the returning guys, what do you feel were some of the lessons from that 2023 season and all the adversity faced that you think ultimately prepared you guys well for the success and the run that you guys went on this year?
Yeah, I think for us, just as a team, we kind of we didn't listen to the outside noise, whether it was good stuff, bad stuff. Obviously, nobody was talking about it, so there wasn't really much to even listen to. Nobody wanted to give us any time of thought. Of what we possibly could have done this year. Obviously, with the last couple of years not being so successful, and we had a lot of new guys on the team, so who knew what was going to happen? But I just think Coach Dillingham did a great job all season, and the whole staff and everybody just focusing on the people inside the building, not worried about the outside factors, and taking it one day at a time. I think that's something that Coach Dillingham preaches to us, all the time, is try to be the best version of yourself in everything you do each and every single day. And the best is yet to come. And obviously not looking back in the past, learning from the mistakes, and whether it was good or bad, learn from it to how to be better, and not looking too far ahead. And I think we took it, one day at a time, one game at a time. After a loss, we learn from it. After a win, we learn from it, and just trying to build each and every day to get better.
So you've seen a lot during your 6 years here in Tempe. When what would Trenton today tell Trenton, back in stepping foot on campus for that first day back in 2019?
What a journey. I mean, it was definitely, a fun ride to, suit up, in that 16, the legendary 16, with Jake the Snake. And, he was here when my parents came to Arizona State. So I've always been a fan, of him and 16 in general. Joe Montana was my dad's favorite quarterback and he wore 16. So my whole life just to start it out, walking on here at Arizona State, the place that, I wasn't a fan of growing up, but, like I said, God has a plan for everything. So, taking my first steps here and being told to, never complain about not playing. I'm never going to see the field, just be grateful for my opportunity, which I was. But fast forwarding five months from then, in the summer to being the backup against Florida State, being, one snap away for the next 3 years, backing up Jaden Daniels, who's having a great career in the NFL already, leading his team far in the playoffs. So, starting, for pretty much 2 years and then being told, you're not the guy you're last year, but hey, you never know what's going to happen and just always being prepared and ready. And it's truly been a blessing.
What have been some of your favorite moments, whether on or off the field during your time in the maroon and gold?
Yeah, I would say, obviously in Tucson getting my first collegiate action, in that 70-7 win versus, the team down south. Obviously the Washington game was another fun one, just getting an opportunity to really play in a game. My number was called whether, I knew I was playing or not. I think that was one thing that kind of made it easier, kind of, when you're playing, obviously you know what you're looking at, you're watching film. But for me, it was, I did that for 4 years straight, preparing each and every day like I was a starter. And people kind of, probably looked at me crazy or thought I was, being foolish or silly about, but taking it serious and, being behind the quarterback at the time and, taking mental reps and making the checks. And it definitely paid off that day to, beat Washington, which I think didn't lose again until, they played Michigan in the national championship the next year. And so that was a fun one. Winning in the Rose Bowl, obviously, that was a fun one. The last year in the Pac-12, going there to the Rose Bowl and just thinking about all the crazy games and the great moments and just events that have been held there, and to say that the last time we played them, we beat them in the Pac-12, and obviously winning the Big 12 championship. There's just so many memories, and I could just go on and on. But definitely, this was the year to go out on for sure.
Do you have a favorite touchdown pass as a Sun Devil?
Favorite touchdown pass? Oof. I don't know. There's been a good amount. I mean, Washington, I'd probably say, to Badger at the end of the game, to take the lead and to kind of, seal the deal. That was a fun one. Had three to, Jalen, in Colorado. That's even though there were three of them,
Yeah.
all three of them were fun. That was my first start. And unfortunately, I had a lot of other touchdown passes in games we didn't come out, with the victory. But yeah, no, I definitely say probably, the one to Badger or, three of those to Jalen.
How has your time as a Sun Devil experience, just the ups and downs, just the bonds, the brotherhood, the wins, the losses, how's your time as a Sun Devil maybe changed you, shaped you, and the course of your life?
Yeah, I think one thing I've, tried to do is, not take it for granted. These relationships and the people you meet through the game of football is something that you could never imagine, just because there are people from all over the country, all over the world, really, and you just never know who you're going to see that next day. And with the transfer portal, it's even crazier now. I mean, I'd want to do the math, but I'm sure I've had probably over, logistically, 500 players, 500 teammates that have kind of been in and out of the locker room. And I mean, I'm pretty sure I try to do my best to, try to treat everyone with respect. And I'm sure I can, text any one of those guys and see what they're doing and if I needed anything, and they could do the same with me. And for me, it was much more than just the game of football, but trying to make those key relationships and connections that are, going to go on, the next 20, 30 years, of my life.
You mentioned it, just in this current state of college football or college athletics as a whole, just being a door to door devil, as they say, is so rare. All the years just staying true to one place. As teammates kind of come and go around you. How special is it to you to kind of be in that kind of select group of being door to door devils, and maybe like going through like the experience like with a guy like Caleb McCulla?
Yeah, obviously having Caleb here at the last, 5 years with me, it's been awesome to see him, stick to the grind. Obviously, he didn't play a lot, early on in his career, but he's just somebody that's been so consistent in the weight room, in the off season. He doesn't really say much. A lot of guys say that, but when he gets on the field, he does his talking with the way he plays, and him getting his first start against Utah. When we were banged up there at the linebacker position, he went out and probably had one of the best days of his life, and really just as a linebacker in general, he had a great game. I think 2 picks, the one to seal it. So somebody like that, I mean, it just goes to show trust the process. And it's just been really cool to see, people like that, I feel like I am the old guy now on the team, being that super senior. And coming in here, I look up to Kyle Soley and Chase Lucas and Eno Benjamin, and walking in the hotels and I see Eno there and just talking to him, and I'm like, man, I feel like you now. I still feel like I'm the freshman and you're the senior, but obviously the roles have reversed for me, and it's just definitely been a blessing, and I couldn't take it for granted.
So it's not just been a lot of teammates that you've seen during your time here, a lot of offensive coordinators as
Yeah.
well. What as you embark upon this coaching career, you kind of touched on it a little bit earlier. How would advantageous maybe in that respect has it been to have so many OCs, so many different guys to work with, to learn from, and maybe some bits and pieces of those guys that you're maybe going to take with you.
Yeah, obviously you never want to see, a coach go, because obviously that means they're taking another job, or they were let go. But it's kind of been a blessing in disguise. Obviously, with me wanting to get into the coaching world and, coaching offenses, it's kind of been awesome just to see different bits and pieces of different philosophies and different teachings that people teach. Obviously Coach Likens was here my freshman year, and then I had Coach Hill the next 2 years. Glenn Thomas was my fourth year, and then Coach Aguano took over play calling. Then I had Coach Baldwin, and then obviously Dillingham has been here the last 2 years, and then Coach Royal this past year. So a lot of offensive geniuses, and just everybody has their own style and way they call the games and how they teach the game of football. And I've been able to really dive down into my notes and taking great notes and taking some of their favorite plays and formations. And for me, it's just what did I like the best, what did I not like, what they taught, and it's just been really cool, not only to have them as coaches, but just be able to talk to them as human beings, and kind of take their journey and see how I can try to emulate that in my own life.
And of course, a couple head coaches during your time here as well. And I know that like Herm Edwards and his experience as a head coach, a leader of a program, is one of the reasons that kind of brought you from down south here up to Tempe. During your time with Herm, what were some of the takeaways from perhaps just from a head coach or just kind of a leadership perspective were you able to take away?
Yeah, obviously, growing up, hearing about him and watching him on ESPN, and I just thought, he did a great job of just, he when he walked into the building, the players, respected him. He had great respect, throughout, the whole building, and just taking, small things, whether it was not even just football, but just about life, and just talking about defenses and stuff like that. So it was super cool to learn from him, and then obviously, Coach Aguano, which a lot of guys on the team, they didn't know how much of a legend. For he was, just like that, up there, with Coach Herm and some of these other coaches, because, being from Arizona and knowing what he did at Chandler, all those years and winning all those state titles and sending, some of those best players, off to collegiate programs. For me, I was excited to learn from him and be able to, give him his first victory as a head coach against Washington. And he got here, when I first got here. So we've kind of been, on this journey together the last 6 years. And it's been awesome to see, the great running backs he's produced. And then, hiring Coach Dillingham is somebody that I've known about the last couple of years of following his journey and knowing how he's from Scottsdale and he started coaching at such a young age. It's, kind of been like an idol for me. And then for him to get the job here, it was like a dream come true to just have somebody that young and, innovative from an offensive coordinator perspective, just to learn from him. And it's definitely been a blessing. And like I said, it's been awesome.
Speaking of Kenny, what are some of the things now working with him the last couple of years, and working with him to get this program to the heights that it's at right now? What are some of the key takeaways from your time with Coach Dillingham that you think are going to shape you, perhaps in your career as a coach, but also maybe off the field as well?
Yeah, I think just his style of being a young, innovative coach. He does a great job of not only connecting with the staff but his players. He's always walking around. He's the same guy, whether it's off season, in season, during the summer, it's after a loss, it's after a win. He doesn't care. He's going to be the same person each and every day. You're not going to see him complaining. He's living the dream. That's what he tells us all the time, and it's been awesome just to see somebody like that and to know that it's possible. To have a dream, to have a goal, and to achieve it. So it's been awesome just to see the strides we made in only the short 2 years that he's been here, and it'll be very exciting to see what he does in the following years.
Speaking of the following years, when you're off on the coaching path, and the collegiate player career chapter is now closed. What are the most exciting things that you're looking forward to watching for this 2025 group of Sun Devils next fall?
Yeah, obviously it was a great 2024 season, but like Coach Dillingham has preached, you can see on social media how he's talking about last year was awesome, but it's over. Going on to the next year, which I think some teams may struggle with that. Obviously having a great year in a long time. You kind of just always look back to last year, but I think the focus is on next year for sure. And it'll just be awesome to see, how they can, build off this past season that we had.
And of course, at the cornerstone of this 2025 season, a guy that's already getting some Heisman buzz, Sam Levitt. Where have you seen as kind of the veteran quarterback in that room, seeing him from when he first stepped foot on campus to where he was at the end of the year? Where have you seen the kind of the biggest growth, and what excites you about the trajectory of his career?
Yeah, obviously Sam has, a lot of tangibles that, can help him, be a great quarterback. He has the arm, he has the legs, very hard worker, very competitive in anything you do. And I think early on in the season, you can kind of tell, he hadn't played a lot of college football just being, a freshman. But definitely, as the season went on, learning from mistakes, not having to force the ball, not trying to do too much, take what the defense gives him. And I think Coach Aurora and Coach Dillingham did a great job of, planning, to find ways, to use his, ability to get the ball out quick, to use his legs in the run game. And as the season went on, I mean, you could just see, the game was slowing down for him, and it was just awesome to see him, making checks at the line and understanding coverages and protection and run game. It was just super cool because I mean, he put in a lot of work, behind closed doors and not with a lot of people around him, and to see him, go out on the big stage and lead us to a lot of wins and to win the Big 12 and obviously go to the college football playoff. And, we're, a touchdown away of, advancing in the playoff. It was super cool just to see somebody like that that's so young and also has a future here at Arizona State. So it'll be very exciting to see what he does in the future.
Of course, with a returning core that has guys like Sam, Jordan Tyson, Xavier Alford, and such. But who are maybe some Sun Devils that maybe are haven't been in the spotlight as of yet, but you think you'll be excited to see, maybe fans will be getting to see a lot more of here in 2025 and beyond?
Yeah, I mean this team is, they're returning a lot of players, so it's going to be very exciting to see how they, like I said, build off of last year. And you can't always, look back at last year and like, oh well, last year's team, or no, this is the new team. So just to see guys, step up, I think Montana Warren is somebody that's been in the program last couple of years that's definitely going to have to step up in ways, whether it's special teams or playing different positions. But he's very athletic. You guys got a little sneak peek of what Malik can do. Obviously redshirting, but being able to come back later in the season, he's definitely going to be somebody. It'll be exciting to see Sip and Ralik and Alto and Jason, all those guys that have been in the room this past year that may have not had the opportunity that they had this past season, but to see what they do, working forward. But there's just so many guys that I can name, but those are just a few of the guys that I kind of just thought about right now. But it'll be very exciting to watch them in the future.
What are you going to miss most about suiting up for the Sun Devils?
I would say, really just, that all the memories, not just, at the games, the game day, but, the hotel, the travel, flying across the country with your boys, getting excited to go into somebody else's, arena and to perform at your best. And everybody's watching you. But yeah, I would say, yeah, walking out of Mount America Stadium, to a stadium that's rocking full of guys and girls that are cheering, screaming their heads off, for the last home game that I was a part of to be against, BYU, and for us to, win in that dramatic fashion against another, really, really great Big 12 team in BYU. It was, like I said, this season, it felt like a movie, really. You couldn't write a better script to how it was.
I've been covering the program since 2011. And in my time, there's been very few players that have been as popular with the fan base as you have. It's been in kind of the folk hero status almost. So 10 years down the road, 15 years down the road, when Sun Devil fans are at a sports bar or a game and they bring up your name, how do you want to be remembered? What do you hope they say about you?
Yeah, I mean, hopefully, they're still talking about me because hopefully I'm still here, at Arizona State, maybe on the sidelines, calling some plays or helping out any way I can under Coach Dillingham's, 15th year of, leading us to, the playoffs. But yeah, no, for me, I think I would just, want people to know, it was, I tried to do everything I could in my power to be the best person first, and then, best, student athlete second. I really tried to, embrace that Sun Devil pride. And like I said, I didn't take it for granted, being able to wear the great number 16. That had a lot of weight, just knowing, what Jake the Snake was able to do here in his time here. And, trying to make my own, image of number 16 with TB16. But like I said, I try to be the best person I could each and every day, trying to go to as many sporting events as I can, whether it was softball, baseball, golf, trying to support other Sun Devils and try to just use my platform to bring others, up. And it was definitely a journey I'll always be very grateful for. And like I said, it went by fast, even though it was a 6 years, a short 6 years.
I'd like to thank Trenton for taking the time to talk with me for this episode. Make sure you are subscribed to Speak of the Devils on the podcast platform of your choice for more great sit-down series episodes all off season long. And be sure to follow me on social media at bdenny29.